Hello, I'm Angelo Schalley, and I'm going to show you what Akave is all about. And we're going to talk about on-chain data lakes, and we're going to make this a very exciting talk because it's the first time I'm presenting it publicly, so very excited to show you what it is all about. And I'm the CTO and co-founder at Akave, together with Daniel and Stefan are in the room as well. So let's get to it. A little bit of a background myself. Been in like the data center space and the infrastructure space for a very long time now, and got into the Filecoin ecosystem years ago. And I saw the need of this feature parity on easy on-ramps and integration early on. And there's been a lot of like work and iteration and everything culminating up till this point. So let's get started. So let's first set some context on this. So what's a data lake? I see it as a massive amount of data, structured or unstructured, just put together somewhere in one location or one virtual representation of data. And like at that point, when it's all put together, you can run any compute over it, or you can, do some machine learning against it, or anything you want to like iterate on that data, and then take it from there. So we're going to provide these data lakes for you in a decentralized way. So let's get to it. So first, why do they exist? Very simple. You want to have one really easy access to that data. You don't want to pull this together when you're working on it, or you don't want to have to migrate it or move it around. You just want one holistic entry to all that data. And the other one is you want to be enabled to make like these analytics on top of it and iterate on it whenever you want. So that's why they exist. Now, like I already said, it comes in one, big repository, basically no scaling limits, and from an Akave's perspective, going to make it very cost efficient and very flexible for you to use. And on top of that, you can run your analytics and your machine learning against it. Let's go. So current challenges. What we see in the space is definitely performance issues. Like even in the cloud today, scaling that, it still goes to like a central entry point. So performance bottlenecks definitely there. There's no way to look at your data in a verifiable way. So it's very hard to establish that data you put there, that it's 100% identical to what it was, even if you, depending on how long you store it, some things can happen to your data. Now, the other one is just iterating on it, using it, downloading it, uploading it. Very expensive. Everybody heard about the egress costs in the cloud. So using a data lake in the cloud, very expensive. When you're having it sitting there, not so much of a problem, but when you start moving it around or working on it, that makes it very expensive. Now, from an Akave's perspective, a little bit of an overview on how you can work with that. So kind of like see your data lake as a really large data set comprising of anything you want. Could go from raw data to video to database backups to chain backups, however you want, or whatever data it is that you want to iterate on. And if you compare that a little bit between the cloud and what Akave can offer you, is that once you put it in the cloud, you trust that it's there, and it becomes a little bit of a black box, right? It's residing there and you see it and you work on it. So that's kind of like how everybody nowadays does it. In Akave, we have a little bit of a different view. We want to give that power to the user again and give full visibility into that data, so you know what's happening in that black box of where your data is stored, and kind of give you the ability to, like, of course, like in the cloud, choose your tiering or where you want to place it, or where on the planet you want to move it around, or if you want to geolocate it somewhere or closer to the edge, you have that possibility, but also to give you that visibility into what's happening with the storage itself. Like if you iterate on it, or you change it, or you move it around, parts that get uploaded or downloaded, all that will be traceable fully online, giving you kind of a data provenance within your data lake. And then on top of that, all the data that's being stored is fully immutable. So in an IPFS structured way in that data lake. Now, we have two tiers right now. We have the hot storage layer, which is our Akave nodes running as a big network of nodes together, which you can use as a data lake, which gives you the same functionality if you would put it on Filecoin as a data lake, but there is a performance difference. We're using the same data structure, so it doesn't matter where you're pulling it from. It's kind of like the experience is going to be a little bit different. It's the same tiering that you use in the cloud. So you have the hot tier or the hot storage tier, and you have like the warmer tier on Filecoin where you can pull it directly from. Now, the advantages of using a data lake, we call it our Akave Oasis, where you can basically, from a comparison to the cloud, you can definitely, reduce your egress costs a lot. And because of the immutability, you can verify it, and like all that storage that's residing in your data lake will be available on chain. So you can definitely look at how it's stored and how it's broken down. I'll show you in a quick demo later on how the data is broken down, so you can also see that all these different parts that are happening within an Akave node will be fully visible on chain. The on-chain part is still being developed right now, but I can definitely show you with that demo on how that is structured today. And then from a Akave's perspective, you need to have choice. Like you want to be able to choose how and where you move your data. Also have an insight into cost right away. So we are providing this open marketplace later in our roadmap where you'll be able to basically query the marketplace and based on your requirements or whatever or wherever you want to store your data, is it in Europe or in the US, or you want to potentially have like replication or multiple copies residing, or you want it stored in an erasure coded way. You have all these options that you can choose from, and the bandwidth and the speed and all these kind of related options to storage, and the marketplace will then give you a result back, so you can choose which nodes you're going to operate with at that point. All of that happening from choosing which nodes you're going to work with, to uploading the data, to iterating on the data, to see how the data structure is, to downloading it back, moving it into Filecoin, or moving it in between zones, or moving it between Akave and Filecoin would be constantly visible on chain. So you have like that verifiability on chain, tracking all the data and movement of that. And also by, like I said in the beginning, we're giving the power completely to the user. You have the option of encrypting the data from beginning, but also encrypt the actual metadata and the data stored on chain. So you'll be the only one being able to interpret the entire data structure if you want to secure it that way. Now, getting into decentralized and AI and compute, they need these verifiable architectures. And let's give you an overview on our product and architecture infrastructure. From the top down, and I'll start at the L2 level where Akave is residing. You have two parts of it, which is the O3, which is our S3 compatible API, and the SDK, which you will be interacting with. The S3 API and the SDK will structure the data in a way that it's readable directly from the Akave nodes or directly from Filecoin. On the Akave level, on the protocol level, the Akave Oasis, you'll have the choice on a bucket level, which is a virtual representation of your data, where you want to do encryption, erasure coding, and all the verification that happens on chain. All this will be using Filecoin's IPC infrastructure for. And on the bottom, where you then provide the warm storage, we're providing it through Filecoin's infrastructure, where we have access to all the SPs to store all that data. So you can choose how to store it and where to store it. And then later on, Akave Enterprise, where we will be hosting it ourselves too, creating a dashboard and a more admin and user GUI on top to provide more enterprise-grade capabilities on top of Akave, so enterprises can have a direct connection to working with somebody that will provide, for instance, SLAs or other requests on that end. Okay, so now let's get into the demo, which I can give you a little overview. So here I'm going to show you a few easy ways on storing data on Filecoin. We can show you by listing a storage bucket, creating a storage bucket, uploading some data, and see how it's broken down into. Here you see that we're just using simple AWS command line to kind of like list the buckets. You see a few pre-configured buckets here that I'm going to show you. And then let's see, to create another one. We can see that it's just the same simple AWS S3 API we're using here with the S3 command set. Here you see the new bucket is created. About the bucket and the timestamp, for instance, this is information that will be stored on chain, so you have full visibility into what's happening there. And now we're going to see which objects are available in that bucket. Obviously, there are none yet because we haven't uploaded anything, but we're going to do that in a second and then see how that gets broken down into. Here we go. Here you see that the objects are created, associated with the file, and associated with a root CID. Now in the backend, you see how the virtual bucket is created, how it's associated with the root CID for the file. And there you can also see how the data itself is broken down and the hashes are calculated for it. People that are used to IPFS have a good understanding on how that works. Okay, now we're going to pull that data back into our local system. Here you see the request comes in, the associated bucket and the file, which was represented by the root CID, gets pulled in back into the local file system. And that was the demo. There we go. Here you can sign up to start building together with us. So if you want to go to the website or scan this QR code, you can start building with us and we can start onboarding data together. And this is where you want to get in touch with us on Telegram. And thank you very much.